Yo, what's going on, fellas? Today right here in this video, I'm bringing you the best items that you can buy straight from vendors. Alright, first up, let's say you want to make your stealth early on. Let's say you want to make a lore early on. Actually, for certain things, you can walk right over to Charcy in normal right off the bat, unless you just can't find that two-socketed armor, we'll say. You can come in here and look down and boom, two-socketed leather armor you can buy for 300 gold. Here's another one, ring mail, 3,000 gold. Or let's say you want to make a lore, you can scroll down, here's a two-socketed helm that you need for that Ort soul to make a lore. So there's a couple of rune words early on, incredibly common. You can just buy the bases right here from Charcy, instead of trying to just muddle around and try to find them somewhere. One thing, do not make this mistake though. Sometimes you'll find ones that are magic, but they'll have the mechanics mod on it, which means it'll have sockets. Don't try to make a rune word in an armor that is magic and blue, but has sockets in it. The rune word will not work. A good example of that is this staff right here. It's actually the mechanic short staff with 2 open sockets. So if you were trying to maybe make leaf in it, that would not work, and that would be a sad day when you find that rail rune early on, and then you end up wasting it on something like this. Speaking of that leaf staff, you can actually buy the base to make leaf right here from a car, but make sure you don't make that blue mistake. But right here, 2-socketed staff, and you can find ones that have the good skills on it, the fire skills to go with that leaf rune word. But yeah, don't get this mechanic staff, don't get this mechanic staff, so make sure you keep your eyes open. So real quick, I just want to point out, you guys have no idea how important it is to hit the like button, and make sure you're subscribed up to the channel. I'm trying to get to 50,000 before the end of the year. It really does help out the channel a mega ton if you do those 2 things. Now the next one up is a sweet fill special. I've never heard anybody talk about this, and now it's actually even better in Diablo 2 Resurrected than it was in Diablo 2. Now that they have the reset button on gambling vendors, and that is, let's say you're trying to craft, you need any version of the light belt or the vampire fang belt or whatever, keep going up the line there. Or if you need one type of the helm in order to make a blood helmet, or early on to get life leech on your Act 2 mercenary or whatever you're doing with that. Like I just said, for gambling, run over to whoever. My favorite is Geeds right here. Open up the gambling menu. You never have to remember what vendor has what type of item, where to go find it, or track it down by farming in cows or anything like that. Because every time you buy one of these items in here, it's going to be a magic type item, and you can just keep cycling and cycling until boom, there's the helmet that you need to make a blood helm. Or you just keep cycling until eventually you're trying to get a belt to do one of them caster belts. It should show up right under those amulets in no time. And there it is. Boom, you got the belt. Easy peasy. That simple in order to get any base item you need for whatever crafting recipe you're trying to do. Now early on, you carry as many potions as you can. You're just chugging them like a college kid on Saturday night. But what you can do actually to get 3 different rows on your belt, just come over to Farah here in normal Act 2, and you actually just buy one of these belts right down here. This belt will have 3 open slots, so as soon as you get here, you could probably use a belt from here from a very long time. Not to mention, this one even got 17% faster hit recovery. Next up is probably a way to get past all the immunities in the game, that anything that you can't kill, and that is actually you just come and buy yourself a tally staff. Now you can buy these as early as Act 3 normal. So come over to Normus here. Go ahead and look through the staffs that he has and look for one that has teleport charges. Not teleport skill like this one for the sorceress, but teleport charges. Now, I don't see one here, but what you can do is you can go ahead and run just out of town like this. As soon as the words pop up for the new area you're in, come back in and run back over to Ormus, and his inventory will be reset again. Then you just come over here again and look through real quick and try to find yourself some teleport charges. Now what you're going to look for is something similar to this. This one has 48 charges of level 5 teleport on it. Now once you have this item, you can go ahead and turn yourself into a sorceress and teleport around whenever you want to. Those charges will run out though, they are limited and they're pretty expensive, so just take that into mind. But let's say you're in Nightmare trying to get around the maggot layer, it's going to be well worth using those teleport charges instead of just trying to get around that maze and find your way down to the next level. This is well worth the gold to get and to redo the charges on. Now this one's going to be specific to one character, but it's so useful. Gotta let you know about it if you didn't know. You can actually come over to Mala here and buy some 3 to Warcry javelins. Now you can just look around real quick and see if there are any, and if not, you can go ahead and do the same thing you did to reset Ormus. You can run out of town, or you can come down to the waypoint, hop out to the Frigid Highlands, or anywhere for that matter, come back, and it'll... Now these reset in the inventory, just remember, this works in games where you're by yourself. If someone's in town, the inventory will hold still, so you got to make sure town is empty. But there you go, Inventory is reset. Next up is another class specific one, and that's actually you can buy claws from Anya if you are an assassin. Go ahead and look at the weapons. You can look through here, and if you get lucky, you can find actually 3 to traps claws. And if you get real lucky, maybe you can even get increased attack speed. You can also reset the inventory super easy by hopping through the portal and coming back. Unfortunately, you gotta wait a little bit, but when you hop in and out, come back, and boom, we've got some new claws up here. There aren't many of them, so you might have to shop for a while though, but eventually you can get those 3 to trap claws. On top of that, it's also a good place to get things like this, Magic Find boots, and even have resistances on them. You can get Magic Find, you can get like a bunch of walk run on this stuff, and you can even shop different gloves and things like that. So don't sleep on even shopping this stuff, especially early on when you don't really have any good gear. Now that type of stuff you can kind of buy from anybody, but I feel like it's very overlooked, and even myself tends to forget about it sometimes. You're repping just some white boots you've had since normal. Oh wait, you could buy something that has some resistances on it, some faster walk run. So if you really want to and have to kill all those things to have immunities that you can't break until after you get Thunder Charm, I suppose, you can actually come over to Akara here, and similar to all the other shopping stuff, just look around at these Necro Wands, but any character can actually use them. So go ahead and look around for things that have lower resistance charges. Remember, once again, it is not the lower res skill for the Necromancer you're looking for. You want lower res charges. Same deal as before. Go ahead and hop out of town, hop back into town, and reset that inventory. And eventually, you can find one. Now, what I did find here is actually another thing that you can shop. This is for melee characters, and it's going to make it so that Smiter will never die, that Frenzy Barb will never die when you're taking on act bosses, or even when you're going after Ubers and stuff like that. And that's, you can actually buy a life tap wand. Once again, make sure it's charges and not the skill for the Necromancer. But like I was saying before, just like this has life tap charges, if you're a caster, look for that lower res wand, and it does break immunities, and on top of breaking immunities for stuff, it'll actually increase your kill speed a ton. Let's say if you're farming Mephisto and Darl, or whatever you're doing. Another one you can shop later on, here I am in Hell difficulty. You can actually come over to Charcy, go to Armors, and you can actually buy bow and javelin skill gloves here. Hopefully getting lucky even with some other stuff, and the similar thing, you can reset the inventory, come back over and over again. Doing this method too, you can actually get passive magic, and you can get martial arts skills for the assassin as well. But usually I'm always looking for those javelin and spear skills. But this just showing for sure, you can get those Amazon skills on these gloves. So another thing, you can actually shop straight from Act 2 normal, and you can use this generally later on. People will make Ancient's Pledge in this shield, but you can look at these large shields, or even maybe this kite shield here. It's got 3 open sockets. This has a little bit more strength. Generally people try to get the large shield because it has less strength requirement, but you can buy 3 open socket shields, whether you're going to just plug perfect diamonds into it in order to get more resistance, or whether when you get those 3 runes from Qualclon, or I forget his name now, but you can make Ancient's Pledge to get your ton of resistances on your character. So here's another opportunity to get a rune word base. Now there's a list of the most common ones that I'm aware of. If there's any that you know that you think I should have included on this list, head down in the comments to let me know. Make sure you check and make sure you're subscribed up. I'm trying to get to 50,000 before the end of the year. It's going to be very tough to get to it. We're not quite on pace yet, but with your help, we can make it possible. And hit that like button before you go. Peace out, fellas. And don't forget, keep slaying.